Multiple league insiders are reporting to Annie Costabile, of course Annie Costabile is breaking this news, of Front Office Sports that DeWanna Bonner has quote-unquote no interest in returning to the Indiana Fever, instead wanting to be in landing spots with either the Phoenix Mercury or the Atlanta Dream.
Hopefully I can give my knowledge, my leadership, and give it to these young players, so when I retire they can pass it along. So I feel like they're young, but I also feel like they're great young. They don't need too much coaching and too much leadership. They kind of...
DeWanna Bonner's abrupt exit from the Indiana Fever wasn't just a quiet career decision. It was a calculated move that blindsided fans, teammates, and the league itself. What started as a seemingly professional and amicable split turned into one of the most shocking betrayals in recent WNBA memory. Bonner, a veteran with championship pedigree and 3 All-Star selections, walked away mid-season, abandoning her role as a stabilizing force for a young team anchored by rookie superstar Caitlin Clark. The initial press release was sterile and polite, citing a mutual decision and professional courtesy. But beneath that carefully crafted language was a firestorm waiting to erupt. This wasn't just about a bad fit or poor chemistry. Bonner quit. Flat out. She chose to walk out on a franchise that needed her leadership during one of the most media-intensive seasons in WNBA history. The timing couldn't have been worse, and the consequences were immediate and devastating, not only for her team but for Bonner herself. Her attempt to force her way to a new team has completely backfired, leaving her blacklisted by the league and her once-pristine legacy in shambles. The initial public response was cloaked in corporate speak. In her statement, Bonner thanked the Indiana Fever for the opportunity, mentioned how the fit wasn't quite right, and wished the team well in its future. On paper, it looked like a professional divorce. But seasoned fans and insiders knew something was off. This wasn't just a graceful exit from a veteran looking for a better situation. It was a thinly veiled escape plan. And it didn't take long for the truth to unravel. Behind the curtain, Bonner had created chaos. The locker room that was already under immense pressure due to Caitlin Clark's every move being dissected by the national media was now reeling from the sudden loss of its veteran leader. This wasn't just poor timing, it was abandonment. The kind that leaves a young team exposed, confused, and leaderless. Bonner, who was supposed to be the guiding hand for Clark, left her teammates scrambling mid-season. The decision sent a chilling message to every young player on that roster. When things get tough, don't dig in, run. What made the situation even more outrageous was the financial gamble behind Bonner's departure. According to WNBA rules, when a player's contract is terminated, they are placed on waivers. For 48 hours, any team can claim them and pick up their guaranteed salary. Bonner, with her accolades and experience, should have been a prime target. She was, in theory, a steal, $200,000 for a proven veteran with playoff experience. But when the waiver clock expired, something shocking happened: silence. Not a single team made a claim. Not one franchise was willing to take a chance on Bonner, even for free. This wasn't just a missed opportunity. It was a loud and unified statement from the league. Her behavior, her timing, her tactics, they were all red flags. A veteran with her resume being completely ignored was not normal. It wasn't about money. It was about trust. And in those 48 hours, Bonner learned that no team in the league was willing to roll the dice on someone who quit on her teammates when they needed her most. Why would a player of Bonner's caliber go unclaimed? The answer lies in her own actions. Behind the scenes, Bonner had been contacting other teams, essentially pleading with them not to pick her up off waivers. She was trying to control her next move by undermining the very system that governs professional contracts. Her endgame? A reunion with the Phoenix Mercury. It was a bold move, some would say arrogant. Bonner acted not like a role player or even a veteran contributor, but like a superstar in her prime trying to force a trade. The problem? She wasn't in her prime anymore, and she wasn't a free agent. She was under contract and had obligations. And yet, she wanted it both ways, to walk out on a team mid-season, then handpick her next destination like she was shopping for a vacation home. Her manipulation of the waiver system turned what could have been a quiet move into a scandal. And it showcased a level of entitlement that rubbed league executives and fans the wrong way. The irony of it all? Even the Phoenix Mercury, Bonner's supposed dream destination, weren't exactly rolling out the red carpet. Reports surfaced that the front office had major reservations about bringing her in. After all, they had just watched her walk out on her team mid-season during a high-pressure campaign. How could they trust her to stay committed when things got tough? The Mercury were building something fresh, a team full of young, hungry players who had bought into a new culture. Bringing in Bonner, a player who had just undermined her own franchise, posed a serious risk to that chemistry. And that's what made the situation even more humiliating for Bonner. She had orchestrated her exit with the assumption that Phoenix would be waiting with open arms. Instead, she found herself in limbo, unwanted by 11 teams and not exactly welcomed by the 12th. Her gamble had backfired spectacularly, leaving her in a worse position than where she started. And the fallout wasn't just reputational, it was financial. By clearing waivers unclaimed, Bonner lost her guaranteed $200,000 salary with the Indiana Fever. When she finally landed in Phoenix, it was on a prorated veteran minimum deal worth around $80,000. That means she essentially torched over $120,000 in salary, all because she thought she could play the system. This wasn't a strategic business move. It was a colossal financial blunder. She walked away from a six-figure paycheck and ended up with less than half of what she was owed. And for what? A spot on a team that didn't even want her at first. This wasn't about chasing a championship or finding a better fit. It was about ego. Bonner thought she could outmaneuver the league. Instead, she got burned. And while money isn't everything, in professional sports, walking away from over $100,000 is the kind of mistake that gets talked about for years, especially when it's self-inflicted. But perhaps the most painful consequence of all wasn't the money. It was the betrayal felt by Caitlin Clark. Bonner had been presented to the public as a mentor figure, someone who would help guide Clark through the chaos of her rookie season. Early practices showed promise. Clark looked energized by the partnership, eager to learn from the veteran. But when the pressure mounted, Bonner bailed. She didn't just leave the Fever, she left Clark. The message was clear. You're on your own. And for a young player dealing with more media scrutiny than anyone in recent WNBA memory, that abandonment stung deeply. It wasn't just a team losing a player, it was a rookie losing her mentor. The damage done to that relationship can't be measured in stats or salary. It's emotional. It's psychological. It's the kind of wound that lingers long after the season ends. Bonner didn't just quit on her team. She quit on the one player who needed her the most. And then came the question everyone was afraid to ask. Was this all part of the plan from the beginning? The timeline was suspicious. Bonner had signed a lucrative deal with Indiana, basked in the media spotlight that came with playing alongside Caitlin Clark, and then, almost to the day Phoenix cleared cap space, she decided the fit wasn't right. It doesn't feel like coincidence, it feels calculated. Like she used Indiana as a stepping stone, a temporary launchpad for her next move. And if that's the case, then this isn't just a betrayal, it's a scam. It means Bonner knowingly took money, media attention, and roster space from a team she never intended to stay with. That's not just bad form, that's outright unethical. And it casts a shadow over her entire career. Because now every future move, every press statement, every handshake will be viewed through the lens of this deception. The silence was deafening. Normally, when a veteran player exits under controversy, you'll hear some noise, support from peers, statements from teammates, maybe even a few words from union reps. But in Bonner's case, nothing. No one came to her defense. No player publicly vouched for her. No teammate issued a supportive message. It was radio silence across the league. And in professional sports, silence is often the loudest condemnation. It means your peers saw what happened and had nothing positive to say. That kind of isolation is rare and damning, especially for someone who was once respected in locker rooms across the league. Bonner didn't just lose her team, she lost her standing. And in a sport where reputation and relationships matter, that might be the most painful loss of all. This incident has sent shockwaves beyond one team or one player. Bonner's mid-season departure sets a dangerous precedent for the WNBA. If a veteran can walk away from her contract, manipulate waivers, and still end up with her desired team, what's to stop others from doing the same? The league is growing rapidly, gaining mainstream attention, and fighting for respect on the national stage. But behavior like this undermines all of that. It creates instability. It signals to investors and fans that the league lacks control, that contracts are optional, and that chaos can erupt at any moment. For small market teams like Indiana, it's especially devastating. They can't compete with the allure of bigger cities and must rely on professionalism and commitment to build rosters. Bonner's stunt shattered that model. And while she did land in Phoenix eventually, she did so at the cost of her credibility, her money, and possibly her legacy. Because now, instead of being remembered as a champion, she'll be remembered as the player who quit on Caitlin Clark.